Hello and welcome to the Quick News Daily Podcast, where I give you the facts first, no clickbait stories, just real news that matters to real people. Today is Monday, September 14th, and thank you for trusting me with your news. I've got to come clean right off the bat. I don't know what happened to me, but I forgot like half the stuff I was going to talk about on Friday. So today, I'll go back and talk about a morality question with the Woodward-Trump tapes. Then I'll shift and talk about the NFL season, some corruption with the CDC data, and we'll see what else we can get to. So, let's get caught up. The most important story I missed on Friday was another ruling in this long battle over the census. Frankly, I'm not sure how there's anything left to challenge, and I think it's infuriating that the government can blow so much money trying to make our votes not count, and then say, we can't pay for that, when it comes to the Postal Service or benefits programs. But I have to stop myself right there before we get too crazy. The important thing is that last Thursday, a panel of federal judges ruled that Trump's order to Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross to come up with a number of undocumented people so that when the final census comes in, Trump can just subtract them from the total. 21 states and 15 cities and counties sued, and that ruling last Thursday was the judges' ruling in favor because the 14th Amendment says persons, not citizens, like I've mentioned before. And you can't just decide who counts as a person anymore. Also, I'm not sure how they could decide where these people live if they're not counting them, unless they'd use the filled-out census to find them and then exclude them, which is just BS. Basically, this is a suppression effort to scare undocumented folks from filling it out, so they think it won't count, so it's not worth the risk to them of exposing themselves as undocumented. That's why it's important if you have undocumented family, friends, or neighbors to urge them to fill it out, explain to them what this all means. You could wait a little bit to see if this ruling stands or if they challenge it, but they're sort of running out of time for that. There was another ruling last month telling the Census Bureau to stop winding down their operations for the end of September and to plan for the end of October like usual, pending the results of a hearing on September 17th. This is because human rights groups were afraid that they were going to be excluding minorities using the pandemic or the lack of resources to say, oh, we need to shut down earlier. So we'll see what happens on the 17th. But in general, I can't stress enough how important the census is. It'll help us get rid of gerrymandering so that Republicans can't draw maps that help them and automatically win them seats. And it's not like this is control for 2 or 4 years. It's 10. It also makes state races more important because they're the ones who actually draw the maps and approve them. In most cases, I guess. And believe me, I know firsthand because the census and then Scott Walker and the Republican legislature completely messed up Wisconsin. They did back in 2010, and we're still feeling the effects now. Like in 2018, Democrats won the popular vote across the state, like 53%, but they hold 1/3 of the legislature seats. So it matters. It matters a lot because we are just gerrymandered to hell. But anyways, this is why I say fill out your census in my sign-off every day. It is so important. So fill out your census. So on to this report about the CDC that pretty much everyone, including me, called as soon as it happened. Apparently some political appointees, including Michael Caputo, who was questioned numerous times in the Russia investigation and was a deputy to Roger Stone, so that tells you the kind of person he is. But he's now officially the Health and Human Services Department spokesperson, and he and his goons, his group of helpers, including this person Paul Alexander, are asking to review CDC reports on the coronavirus before they're sent out to the public, basically just making them match the president's rosy tone, saying, it's all good, nothing to see here, we're fine, it's actually winding down, when it's not. Like this example right here just kind of tells you everything you need to know about who these people are. Paul Alexander, who they say is like a doctor, but must have been from Trump University or something, he says, quote, CDC, to me, appears to be writing hit pieces on the administration. CDC tried to report as if once kids get together, there will be spread and this will impact school reopening. Very misleading by CDC, and shame on them. Their aim is clear. End quote. Yeah, it's not like that happened at all. It's not like UW-Madison here is on lockdown for 2 weeks because they've had such significant spread. Oh wait, that's happened all across the country and every school that's tried to reopen. It's ridiculous. So that's basically the gist of the story. they're adding all these caveats or trying to say that things are misleading when they're not really. Essentially, they're just trying to be those bad used car salesmen and get people to think it's better than it really is out there. I feel like I would lose my Packer fan status if I didn't at least mention the full-scale return of the NFL yesterday, and the Packers beating the Minnesota Vikings, but, come on, that's not really news, is it? Not a shocker. Personally, it just felt really bizarre and confusing to me, the whole NFL thing. On the one hand, when the cameras just showed the field, the players, the action on the field, the bench, it felt like everything was normal. But then when they would show the empty seats, it just all seemed so strange, and then the fake crowd noise. I'm sure I'll get over it after a game or two, but these NFL games, or even playing Madden is tough for me, because the last time this stuff was on, our entire world was different. It just feels like it'll never be quite the same. This is just one small example, and maybe I'm making too much of it, but I feel like we're going to have a mental health reckoning fairly soon. It's like your grandparents, or maybe even your parents, who lived through the Great Depression. Maybe they were penny pinchers to the max, no matter how much money they had, or they still thought certain everyday foods symbolized wealth. Like the Great Depression, this coronavirus thing is, because it's still going on, even though we're acting like it isn't. I guess what I'm trying to say is that people's habits are going to change forever because of this. People are going to be impacted forever because of this. It was a major thing. I guess I'm sorry to be a Debbie Downer here, but I just had to mention it, because it's not going to be like a vaccine and then everything's back to normal. Oh, by the way, Packers fans, stick around to the end. I think you'll enjoy the end song. I'm hoping you get what it means. So, as soon as I got over the shock that there were real audio tapes with Trump confessing to lying to us, I began to think, why didn't Bob Woodward release these sooner? Would it have saved lives? I pushed that away though, because it's not his fault that we're in this situation. It's Donald Trump, who's supposed to be the president. I also thought, could Bob even trust anything Trump said? Because I guarantee most of what Trump said in those interviews was puffery, just bragging to make himself look better, that sort of thing, because that's what he always does. That's what everything is. He's a salesman. He's a bad used car salesman, is what he is. Well, from Bob Woodward himself, it sounds like he's saying that was essentially what he was thinking. In an interview with the Associated Press, Woodward said, quote, "He tells me this, and I'm thinking, wow, that's interesting, but is it true? Trump says things that don't check out, right?" End quote. He goes on to say he didn't get other sources to confirm this stuff until May, which he says was too late, and he was just trying to release the book before the election, which is good, which is noble, which is what we'd prefer. I think we probably could have shut up the anti-maskers quite a bit more if these were released in May, but what's done is done. What matters now is using this audio to convince voters, and that's the trick. But what do you think? Was he right to hold on to this stuff? Should he have released it? I just want to play a few clips of some of the insane stuff that Trump has been saying lately, and this first one is from an interview with Judge Jeanine on Fox News.
And the U.S. Marshals went in to get him.
Good.
And in a short period of time, they ended in a gunfight. This guy was a violent criminal.
A lot of them out there.
And the U.S. Marshals killed him. And I will tell you something, that's the way it has to be. There has to be retribution when you have crime like this.
So, retribution with no trial, no arrest? These people just get to kill them? That's who we are now? Let's be clear. No matter if the guy's an idiot or not, an authority figure cannot be saying this in the U.S. This is the ultimate slippery slope into becoming a country like Russia. Because next time we're going to have a competent Donald Trump who's really going to know how to do stuff. Then we have this clip here from his rally. This was in Colorado on Saturday, and during a pandemic, he's making fun of social distancing. Take a listen.
Do you ever see him with his little circles, a circle? You know why he puts the circles? Because he wants to be correct with COVID, but it's not really. Because they can't get anybody to fill up a room, so they put these big circles. So he can't get anybody to fill, nobody wants to go.
These next couple clips are going to be from that rally as well. How about this one and his rant about Antifa, I think? Just listen to this one and see if you can make sense of it.
And with that comes tremendous crime.
And I was talking the other day. Darling, somebody just moved next door. Who is it? It's a representative of Antifa. She will look at her husband and say, darling, we're out of here. We're out of here. Antifa. Remember, they were trying to blame other people. They don't like to mention the name Antifa. I said it's Antifa, and I was right. They're bad people. And you know what? They have to pay a price for the damage and for the horror that they've caused. They have to pay a price. And it's so easy.
Here's one where he's complaining about the venue and not being able to use Air Force One.
Now, after this is over, you'll have like at NBC, this third-rate reporter stand up. They had a small crowd, insignificant crowd in a great location. You know how great it was? We landed, we had to drive for 50 minutes. That's how great, but I like it anyway. I'll take it anyway. I like it. You're my kind of people. We love each other. I like it. We landed the big, beautiful Air Force One. I just asked as we're coming in, why couldn't we have landed here? I would have rather. Then I could have had the plane right behind me. Instead, we have the Beast. See the Beast. What you don't know is the Beast costs almost as much as the plane. It's a hell of a car. It's a walking army tank. The Beast.
He's slurring through the whole thing. Who says insignificant like that except someone who's drunk? Oh yeah, probably someone who's had a couple of mini-strokes.
Insignificant crowd.
Okay, so he said this one too many times for it to be a joke anymore.
And 52 days from now, we're going to win Nevada. And we're going to win 4 more years in the White House. And then after that, we'll negotiate, right? Because we're probably, based on the way we were treated, we're probably entitled to another 4 after that. And it should never happen to another president. It's just a dishonest group of people. But here we are.
I guarantee he thinks that he can do this. Like they'll just let him keep being president for as long as he wants. Also, very, very wishful thinking on his part, health-wise, if he's already deteriorating this fast to actually get to a 3rd term. Again, though, that's dictator stuff. That's Vladimir Putin stuff. We can't have that. It's unacceptable. We have to say it is unacceptable. Here's Donald Trump, the classy person we all know him to be.
So it's not like they haven't been here. He was a vice president for 8 years, and he only did one thing good. He treated Obama good. I was going to say something else, but they would have scolded me. That's exactly what I was going to say. But I didn't. It's better that you say it. Do you want to shout it out? Go ahead, shout. That's what I said. That's what I was going to. Thank you very much. Oh, this can only happen.
And closing with the last example of how Trump is becoming a banana republic dictator, another clip from that interview with Judge Jeanine.
Going to do, let's say there are threats. They say that they're going to threaten riots if they lose on election night, assuming we get a winner on election night. What are you going to do?
We'll put them down very quickly if they do that. We have the right to do that. We have the power to do that if we want. Look, it's called insurrection. We just send in and we do it very easy. I mean, it's very easy. I'd rather not do that because there's no reason for it. But if we had to, we'd do that and put it down within minutes.
This is just... it's madness. This is a scary election, not because the candidate isn't good that's going against Trump, but because the people in this country are so... I've never felt worse about living here. Alright folks, that's all I've got for news today. But before we go, I do want to take a minute and tell you about the sponsor for today's show, The Time Turner, Harry Potter in Depth. Time Turner is a podcast that comes from the sibling duo of Ken and Alyssa. And on the show, they're going back and rereading all 7 books of Harry Potter, then analyzing them as they go. The show focuses on foreshadowing, themes, interesting nuggets, they try to tie it to the main end game, and they go over big questions that they still have. There's also their fair share of hot takes, so you won't want to miss those either. It's a great listen because you get a whole range of emotions. There are the serious moments when they discuss the, I guess, more problematic themes, the character flaws, the plot holes, and the miscellaneous things that come up now that we know J.K. Rowling's, shall we say, controversial views. At the same time, they have fun pointing out some of the stranger plot points and side stories that actually never come back into play. And it's even better when they take these random moments and relate it to something from their own lives. And that's where the brother-sister perspective really adds a lot to the show. Personally, the Harry Potter at Home series got me back into Harry Potter in general. It's been a long time since I've read the books, or even watched the movies for that matter. They're not on ABC Family anymore. There's not even ABC Family. But this show, Time Turner, is a great complement to Harry Potter at Home, since you can essentially listen to the audiobook read by celebrities and then get analysis from Ken and Alyssa. So I would definitely recommend that combination, listening to them side by side. It really goes well together. So far, the Time Turner podcast has covered all of Book 1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, and Book 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And the podcast breaks them up into seasons when you're looking at it on Apple Podcasts. So that's really helpful as a listener so you know where you left off or where you need to start. It's great. Those 2 seasons are available in full on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and pretty much any of your other favorite podcast platforms. They just started Season 3 with the first episode for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, so there's already a lot of content out there to consume, and they're still going. I've put their website in the show description, and from there you can get to all of those podcast platforms, wherever you want to listen. You can also find them on Twitter and Instagram as @TimeTurnerPod. So, give the Time Turner Harry Potter In-Depth a listen, because Ken and Alyssa have clearly put in a lot of time and thought into each episode. It's funny, it's wholesome, it's real, it's authentic, and it's certainly a must-listen for all Harry Potter fans out there. So while you're checking Time Turner out, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review here for Quick News Daily if you like what you hear. It always is really appreciated. Otherwise, stay safe, make your plan to vote, fill out your census, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.